Hey guys, this is Yash again, your certified personal trainer, and today I'm going to talk about one of the interesting topic, and that is your exercise and psychological system. So exercise is not something which is very physical. When you go to a gym, you work out, you lift weight, you do cardio, and you see physical changes which is happening in your body. It's not only limited to that. It is also something which is related to your psychological system. So back in our history, there was a psychologist. His name was Hans Selye. So Hans Selye was his whole research was into your endocrine system. Your various hormonal glands like thyroid gland, your pituitary gland, the production of insulin and everything. So he developed one specific syndrome which is called as GAS. We call it as GAS, which is General Adaptation Syndrome. Now, what is this General Adaptation Syndrome? This General Adaptation Syndrome, it holds true in your daily life, and it's also holds true when you go out and do workout in your gym, in your fitness also. So it says, whenever you are in a state of some event happens, a sudden event happened to you which you were not expecting, you tends to go in a shock. Your subconscious system, your body system, your physical system tends to go in a state of shock. For example, let's say if you're working and you have to do a presentation to a client, and suddenly your laptop goes bad, or you delete your presentation, you suddenly get nervous and you get into a shock. And once the state of shock passes, then there is a state of adaptation. Your psychological system, your body, your everything try to adapt to that situation, to that shock. Once you have adapted, and once you adopted, that is then you try to improve your performance. And if the performance is improved, then you go to a third stage, which is exhaustion, tiredness. Then you get tired again and again. If that kind of shock is, you're giving a shock to your body at that kind of situation, and some event is happening, then your body goes into a shock, your mind goes into a shock. And if it continues, the shock can also leads to an injury. If I talk about psychology, in a psychology, injury could be your body, you get a lot of stress, and your hormonal system can be disturbed. You would not fall, you will not get a good sleep. You get some digestive disorders. This happens when if the shock is reoccurring in nature and body has reached an exhaustion. So shock, adaptation, and exhaustion are the three important phases which happen in the GAS syndrome. And this is a study which was done by Hans Selye, and it is still relevant to our your fitness also. When you go to a gym and when you start to lift some weight, your body goes into a shock, and that stimulus which you provide to a body when it's in a shock, the second phase is try to adapt to that weight. When it's try to adapt to that weight, that is where then your performance increases. So for example, you go and you're doing a bench press of 10 pounds or 20 pounds. You're a beginner and doing 20 pounds. The first time you'll do it, your pectorals, majors and minor muscle would get into a shock. And once if you keep doing it, keep giving the shock, then it's try to adapt. Next day you'll see your 10 pounds, the body has already adapted. Your pectoralis major or your chest muscles has already adapted to that shock. So the adaptation has happened. Now if you keep repeating the number of sets and keep doing the same shock again and again to your body, then exhaustion, you feel tired, right? Let's say, for example, after 15 repetitions or 16 and 17 repetitions, you feel exhausted, you feel tired. Now if you keep repeating it again, if you keep giving exhaustion to your body, you can also get injured. An injury can happen to your shoulder, so your shoulder can get injured. So that is how, wherein you stop, you tend to stop before getting injured. So the GAS principle, when hits in, to avoid this GAS principle, to avoid that exhaustion, so what happened, guys? You go and do the same kinds of exercises time and again by repeating the same thing. After your exhaustion has happened, there is also a state which happens in between adaptation and exhaustion, that is staleness, which is also called you're hitting a plateau. For example, you're going to a gym and you're doing a biceps curls of 20 pounds or 15 pounds daily, and after some time you will realize that you're not seeing any change in your muscle, you're not seeing any change in this your physical system. What's the reason? The reason is that your body has adapted to it. Adaptation has now to change the mode of adaptation to increase the performance. You have to prevent the staleness. You have to follow a technique which is called as periodization. Now, periodization is I'll get into a detail of it in a separate video because it involves cycles like mesocycles, microcycles, mesocycles, everything. We'll talk about it. But understand, it is very important to understand your psychological adaptation is similar to your physical adaptations, which is very important while you go and do workout. Most of the time we tend to ignore it. We think going out in a gym is more of a physical thing. If you're not if you're feeling bad today, if your day was very stressful, avoid going to gym on that day. You should go with a peaceful mind, and your body should be in a state to take that shock and adapt. And don't try to hit exhaustion soon, because if you're hitting the exhaustion time and again, there can be it could be a time that you can also injure yourself. So avoid injury. So guys, that was the purpose of the video. Your psychological adaptation, your physical adaptation, and what is gas. Hans Selye's, read about it. He is one of the very pioneer researchers in the study of endocrine glands. So we'll talk about some important topics, some different interesting topics in next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Happy workout.